In this video, I'm going to continue our work with composition of functions. So remember, that's where one function is actually above the other one. And so the output from one function is eventually used as the input to the other. So we looked at using equations and thinking about composition that way. All right, what I want to do is I want to look at tables and graphs now. Okay. All right, so let's focus on tables. Let me bring that up a little bit and expand it. All right, so if I'm trying to do f of g of 2, you really need to do this, this part where you rewrite it just using function notation. So it means f of g of 2. All right, now think about the situation. You don't have to draw the picture, but I want you thinking about how 2 is going to go into g. You're going to get a value coming out, and then that's going to go into f. Like 2 doesn't go into f. We don't just look at f of 2 and g of 2 and do something. We do g of 2. All right, so here's the g. This is for g. This is for f. G of 2 would be 3. So in place of g of 2, I'm going to put a 3. So it's like g of 2 was 3. So what came out of the g function was 3, and that's what's going to go into f. And so now I jump over to the f table, and I find out, well, what is f of 3? So f of 3 would be 1. So my overall answer would be 1. Okay. All right, let's flip it around. Here I'm trying to do g of f of 3. All right, so this time I need to start with the table for the f. I've got f on top this time. I'm not going to draw it this time. So we're going to do f of 3. F of 3 is 1. And so once I do that, see, f of 3 is 1. So now I need to do g of 1, and that's going to give me 9. So that's my overall answer. All right, we can do the composition of a function with itself. So we're going to do f of 4. So we're only going to be focused on the f table. We don't know the rule for that. We're just using the information we're given. So f of 4 is 3. So then I need to do f of 3, and f of 3 is 1. So 1 is my final answer. See how that worked? I replaced f of 4 with 3, but I still had to do f of that. All right, let's try f of g of 1. F of g of 1. So I'm going to be starting with the g picture now. I'm going to take g of 1. So g of 1 is 9. Okay, now I need to do f of 9. Ooh, don't fall for this. Isn't that 9 supposed to be an input? I need what 9 would be here. This is not an input of 9. So there's no definition for what f of 9 would be. So this one's undefined. Okay. I don't know what that is. Okay. So D is undefined. All right, now for this one, I need to do g of f of g, and then f of g of 7. It's getting messy there, sorry. F of g of 7, I would do like that. So I'm just going to start at the 7, and I'm going to go to the g function. So this one right here turned out to be undefined. Just write a little. Okay, and I'm going to go to the g function and find out what g of 7 is. So that's 6. So g of 7 is 6. So in place of the g of 7, I'm putting a 6. Now I'm going to take the 6 and go over here and look at the f function. And the f function says that f of 6 would be 9. Okay, so I'm going to replace f of 6 with 9. Okay. Then I need to use 9 as the input to g, so I'm back over to this one, and I can see g of 9 would be 12. So that would be my overall final answer on that. Okay. All right, so the big thing there is that it's like your input changes. You know, f of g of 2. 2 didn't go into f ever, right? And so these functions are above one another, so your input is going to change. All right, now let's look at the graphs. It's the same concept initially. You've got this set of ordered pairs. That's your g function. You've got this set of ordered pairs. That's your f function, and then your job is to figure out these. Okay, so if I needed to do f of g of -1, I would go to the g function, which is the parabola. I'd think about -1 being an x, and I'd find out what's the y value on the parabola that has an x value of -1. And so that would be 1. Now I need to do f of 1. So now I'm going to switch over to the f function. I'm going to think about 1 being the x value, but I need to go all the way to the line and find out what is the point on the f function that has an x coordinate of 1, and I can see that would equal 2. So my overall answer to the question is 2. I want that to be thinner. Okay. All right, so now let's do another one. So here the g and f are switched around. So here I'm trying to do g of f of -1. Okay. All right, so let me clean up my picture. Not mess it up. Let's clean it up. Okay. All right. So f of -1. So I need to be looking at an x of -1, but I need to go to my f function, which means f of -1 would be replaced with a 2, but I still need to do g of that, don't I? So now I'm going to move to the g function. I'm going to move to an x of 2 and go to my g function, which is the parabola, and I can see the overall answer would be -2. Okay. If I'm doing f composed with g of 1, I know that just means f of g of 1. Okay, so then I have to think through. All right, I'm going to start with my g function first. I'm going to think about the x being 1, and I'm going to go to my g function, which is the parabola, and I can see the y value would be 1. And then I need to do f of that, f of 1. So now I'm still at 1, okay, because that was the output from g. When you put a 1 into g, you got a 1 out. But now I need to go to the f function and see what f of 1 is, and that turns out to be a 2. Okay. All right, and then lastly, let's do g of 0. So we just keep going to the parabola this time. We're not going to look at f at all. All right, so g of 0. So 0 is an x. G is the parabola. So I have to find out what is the value y coordinate that has an x of 0. So that would be 2. But you see how I don't do g of 0 now? I do g of 2. So I have to move and come over here to an x of 2 and hit the parabola and find out what that turns out to be. And that turns out to be -2. Okay, so that's composition of functions. Okay, so let me get that posted, and then I'll get some of the handouts posted for you to consider as well.